There are many millions of Americans who already know that many of the key programs and policies put forth by our nation's leaders are harmful. As they say, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. There are even more millions of Americans who can be brought to an understanding about one or more of the dangerous paths down which we're being taken. Americans don't like foreign aid. They don't like undeclared wars. They don't like illegal immigration, watered down independence. They don't like dictating the way our schools are being run. They don't like criminalizing gun ownership. They don't like a host of other federal policies and plans. But most Americans who share these attitudes, which are the attitudes of the Birch Society, repeatedly assemble all the arguments they can find in order to combat the dangerous and harmful government initiatives. They are proceeding exactly the way our most important enemies want them to act. They are fighting ideas. They're not fighting the devious creators of the bad policies. They must begin to understand that fighting ideas alone is a losing strategy. So how then should someone proceed? The answer is fairly simple. Once you find agreement about the harm in some government activity, ask your prospect, ask your friend or coworker or whoever, ask them a very simple question. Don't you think the persons responsible for this know it's harmful? In other words, shift the emphasis from ideas to persons. Emphasize that our leaders are not stupid and not ignorant of facts. The well-placed enemies of freedom know very well that what they're doing is harmful to the nation and its people. They know that amassing more and more power will lead to total government. That's why they do it. And this is what each of us must understand and then begin to convey to others. Now it's true there are scads of fools and do-gooders and bureaucrats and sycophants and ambitious self-promoters who will follow along with dangerous trends and do their best to implement harmful policies. They're a problem, but they're not the main problem. They will shift to the winning side when they realize that the advocates of freedom have gained the momentum. It's the conscious evildoers, those who establish policy and set the agenda, who are the real problem. How can the leaders in the mass media and the academic world remain convinced that there's merit in our country continuing UN membership? Do those who set our nation's agenda truly believe abortion is not murder of the innocent? Why do we continue inserting the nation into undeclared wars when the Constitution's requirement for a formal declaration of war is so clear? How can it be that many of our nation's huge resources of oil and natural gas remain untapped in Alaska and elsewhere while we remain dependent on foreigners who hate us? I could go on. I could go on and on and on, and so could a lot of you, I'm sure. We're not up against flawed ideas, we're up against a combination of seriously flawed morality and conscious destructiveness. We're up against those who would choose evil over good while they steer the nation toward totalitarian rule by themselves. We face leaders whose acquisition of powerful positions enables them to dole out big salaries, prestigious honors, government posts, favorable press treatment, and so forth, to amoral and ambitious critters who care little about anything but self. They're a problem. There's no doubt about it. There are not, however, many committed conspirators. There are huge numbers of despicable go-along-to-get-along types, and even so, it's the top conspirators who must be exposed and routed. The best way to gain allies in this incredibly important fight for freedom is to ask a fellow American, can those who are leading us so disastrously really be that stupid or that ill-informed? There are many fine and upstanding people who believe that all that's needed is good ideas to win the day and preserve freedom. While their arguments are irrefutable, they seriously err in thinking that their logic and their eloquence will win the day. There are books, there are pamphlets, videos, DVDs, speeches. We've got a whole array of them back there on the John Birch Society table. Please help yourself to them. You've got to buy them, I guess, but please take some home with you. Share them with neighbors and co-workers and co-religionists. Don't send them to Henry Kissinger. Don't send them to Bernanke. Don't send them to Geithner. Don't send them to David Rockefeller. Right? Share them with your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers. All of those good ideas have to be followed with an awareness that those who are responsible for the dangerous policies and a truly harmful agenda are not stupid, and they're not ill-informed. It is this that energizes a concerned American and makes him or her a real activist in the freedom fight. And what I'm talking about here is really what it gets down to is the highest instinct in the human being, and that's self-preservation. If you believe that our leaders are ill-informed, you'll say to yourself that they'll get it soon and they'll correct what they're doing. But if you believe instead that they are doing things harmfully and they can't be persuaded to stop, then self-preservation works in. The highest instinct in man. It takes hold. And we look at our children, and we look at our grandchildren, and we say, I've got to get involved. A conspiracy must be stopped. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what it is, a conspiracy. Once you gain an ally over some topic, could be illegal in the American Union, could be dangers inherent in the United Nations, could be gun confiscation, could be all kinds of different things. Cease supplying information and start supplying awareness. Explain that there is an overriding reason why our nation's president and the majority in Congress haven't closed the borders. They haven't been honest about their plans for a North American Union. They haven't opened up Alaska's vast treasures. They haven't canceled U.S. membership in NAFTA and in the UN and the World Trade Organization and so on. You know, no war has ever been won without defining the enemy. The enemy we face is a collection of brilliant but evil individuals who are determined to destroy our nation and our freedom and rule the planet. They aren't stupid. They aren't ill-informed. Identifying the enemy in this way is essential. Debating him and his flawed policies is not only futile, it's precisely what he wants from his adversaries. Every good American should start asking, do you think this one or that one or this other one who promotes such harm to our country is stupid or ill-informed? Whether your prospect expresses agreement or not, you will have provided him or her with awareness about a core of the problem facing all of us. Once possessed of such awareness, all but those who are willing to accept slavery in complete docility will want to get involved.